Go through the next 10 shows. Each show will have its own position group to be discussed, both LSU and Clemson's. So we can kind of grade out and match up the different position groups on each roster. And today is a layup. It's the easiest position room to talk about, and for both teams, because when you talk about the expectations for Clemson and the expectations for LSU, they kind of lie in the hands of one player on both sides, as most teams do, but especially these two because they are the top of the class at that position. And Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik, kind of the competition for QB1 in the country. Like, I think those two guys are very much looked at as the best quarterback in the country. And we'll get into the discussion now. Just a rundown of some stats from last season. Nussmeier's first season starting in 2024, he had 525 pass attempts, so he threw the ball a lot. For a 64% completion percentage, 4,052 yards, and a 29-12 touchdown interception ratio. And so, Lloyd, what I'll ask you is, when you hear those numbers, are there any that you would like to look different in 2025?
I was in the chat. What did you say?
525 pass attempts total for Nussmeier. So that's over a 13-game season? They were 9-4. So over 13 games, he threw the ball 525 times. So on an average, that would be about 40.4, about 40 passes a game, which I think is a little bit on the higher side. And a lot of that's because there were games where he got up to 50, 52. He threw 64%, 4,000 yards, and then his ratio was 29-12 touchdown to interception ratio. So when you hear those numbers,
I mean, the first one that pops off the screen is 525 pass attempts.
right?
I would like for that to be lower, obviously, I would think, because those are the situations that got you in trouble last year, right? Whenever you started looking at, like, we broke down the numbers, I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday, where he went through pass attempts versus run attempts and which games they won and lost, and it was the games where you had to throw it over 45 times that kind of, I guess, bared more weight in terms of determining, because Nussmeier's Nussmeier.
Yes.
Like, there's no way to, you're not going to, I don't want him to lose what makes him good. And that's the ability, like you just, the throw we watched earlier today.
Right, the trust in his arm.
Yeah, I can put it where nobody else can. That belief in yourself, I do not want it coached out of you. I've seen it happen to a million LSU quarterbacks, and it's not fun that way. It's impossible to play the position without confidence. But if you can take with that said, the amount of times he's going to put it in the air, mistakes are going to happen.
Right.
Something, batted ball, misread, not on the same page. You put it in the air that many times, something is going to happen. And so if you could take that away and add to the run game, then that's the number I would look at and be like, I'd like that to be under 500.
Right, because I mean,
right around 500 is fine.
Because
like those 25 attempts, I can find 12 bad ones.
Because 4,000 yards is a good number.
Yeah.
But if you're going yards per attempt, it's about 7.7.
Wait, and that, I think that's a little bit skewed just because you didn't have a deep threat the entire year.
Right. And so, like, I'm saying that's another number that I would like to see look a little different. Is like attempts go down, yards stay kind of similar because you're able to stretch the field a tad bit more.
Right.
Than you were able to.
And that's where, like, in a vacuum, that's why Nussmeier was so impressive last year. You weren't able to stretch the field. You weren't able to run the football necessarily.
It was a tight field you had to work with.
And that's why Aaron Anderson was just like a moneymaker.
Yes.
But that's a hard way to play the position is I have to play with – he's basically playing in the red zone the entire season.
Right. And when they actually got to the red zone, that's what made it much more difficult. And then obviously the number that everyone's going to look at would be the touchdown to interception ratio of 29-12. You would maybe like to see the touchdown number raise a little bit. But even if it stayed at 29, I think would be fine. You would just like the interception number to drop from 12 because 12 is high. Klubnik's stats from last year. So he was at 486 attempts at a 63% completion percentage, 3,639 yards. With his touchdown to interception ratio being 36-6.
Yeah.
So that's the most glaring difference between the two.
I would ask
from a number standpoint.
I would say maybe the rushing attempts would be the most
glaring. Of course. Nussmeier last year, and I actually used a stat that didn't include the sack yards.
Good.
So this only rushes. Nussmeier, 37 rushes, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Hell yeah, brother.
So 37 carries for 93 yards is
3 yards a carry.
2.5 yards a carry. Klubnik on 126 rushes, 588 yards. So 588 over 126 is about 4.5. So still not like he's doing these QB design like Lamar Jackson breakaways down the field. Like that's not who he is. But 126 rushes, 588 yards, 7 touchdowns. Like, and that to me is where that 29-12, 36-6. Like that's another layer of that number, to where like Cade Klubnik is more, I guess, safe with the football in the same way like Jaden Daniels doesn't throw a lot of interceptions because he's not going to force a throw because what is he going to do? He's going to tuck it and go, right? And so Klubnik has more of that ability and willingness to do so. So he threw 6 touchdowns. So Nussmeier with 32 total tuds on the year, Klubnik with 43.
And how many picks?
6.
See?
Like that's
And if you could give Garrett Nussmeier 4 yards a pop,
right. Well, that's
all you're asking
that's all
him
you're
to
asking for.
do what?
And it doesn't have to be 126 rushes.
No, it'd be 50.
But even if it was just 37 again, but it was the right 37, and it's 37 rushes for 4.5, like 37 times 4.5 would have been 167 yards last year. But that's if over those 37 times he runs it, it's 4.5, 5 each one of those times, give or take.
Set and setting. Third and 3, go get me 4.
Late in the game.
And then with Klubnik, when you go
hand it off all game, pull it.
And then when you go back to 2023, Klubnik's first year starting, 454 pass attempts, 64% completion percentage, 2,844 yards, and 19-9 touchdown to interception ratio. So he obviously raised the touchdown number drastically and dropped the INT number. And that's the thing, and I highlight that to say that's what happens in year 1 to year 2 of starting, is those things change because the game slows down. Like quite literally, regardless of who the player is, usually when you get a full year under your belt, the next time the game slows down a tick. And so for Klubnik going from 23 to 24, his attempts went up, his completion percentage stayed the same, his yards went up, his touchdowns went up, and his interceptions went down.
His touchdowns and interceptions went down 3.
Right.
Touchdowns went up 17.
Right, like that's
Jeez.
That's what happens when the game slows down and your decision making is good. And that's one of the things about Klubnik when I looked through is like that's what makes him good, is he makes good decisions. Now, one of the things that I read some scouts and some people that watch the Clemson program talk about with them and their concerns, they said situational awareness, which isn't exactly decision making to the point of kind of Nussmeier's concern. Like his number one thing is decision making. For Klubnik, they said situational awareness and performing off platform. A lot of comparisons to Bo Nix and Cade Klubnik. And obviously LSU had some troubles with Bo Nix in his time. But at some stats for Klubnik, they had a scrimmage on Friday, I believe. And this is just reports because from what I found out, I listened to some Locked On Clemson last night.
Oh.
And first off, no, I'm not trying to diss their guy that does Locked On Clemson. But it was
Sounds like you're about to.
quite literally a sunshine pumping show. Like I was there, I was like, "There's no breakdown happening right now."
That's how all the Locked On shows are, I find.
See, I feel like LSU's is more
No, but I
measured,
also
even
think,
keeled.
like, I watched Locked On Ole Miss and USC last year, and I was like,
I mean,
this is
Locked
just
On-
propaganda.
Locked On Baylor was bashing LSU ahead of
Yeah,
them, but like
it's just propaganda.
So I listened to what I also found out is that the numbers they get from these scrimmages, Lloyd, are all through the lips of Dabo Swinney. They don't get to go watch and cover it. Like everything they
Shout out
find,
LSU.
everything they're like reporting on is what Dabo's saying. So they're like, well, the running back for Clemson had a 50-yard run today. Like, did he, or did Dabo just say he did?
I mean, this reeks of old Les Miles.
That's the first thing my dad said when we were listening to it last night.
Richard Murphy ran for 212 yards today.
He said that's Les Miles.
And this is the second year in a row LSU's playing an opponent that has had that has allowed limited media access. USC wasn't allowed hardly any media access at all last year. And I remember that was kind of like the same
Yeah, he
deal.
kicked him out.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, what they said, and they said Klubnik's stats from that scrimmage, 5 of 10 passing, 4 touchdowns.
Oh, okay, great.
So I was like, okay, first off,
So we just did
5
red
of
zone.
10 passing is not very good. So
But
let's
4
not.
touchdowns.
But four touchdowns out of those 5 passes, well, that means your second team defense is getting diced because if they're giving up a touchdown, 4 out of 5 completions, it's
Yeah.
not very good.
That
So
sounds like a Dabo stat. Like I don't know, he threw it 10 times.
It
Probably
sounds
4
like
touchdowns.
It sounds like one-on-ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Right.
you're not like that.
and so
could
they
be
were
red
like,
zone
and
period.
so the guy for Lock and Clemson was like, hey, Klubnik's putting the country on notice, not just
Oh,
LSU
my.
and the opponents. Like the entire nation needs to pay attention.
4
as
touchdowns?
Klubnik goes 4 out of 5. I was like, no, actually, it was 5 out of 10, and he had these 4 touchdowns though.
and this
then
is
he
without
goes-
him being able to run.
And he was like, and he was like, he was throttling. I was like, who are you gonna say he was dicing up?
Clemson.
Like, what are we talking about? And so those were some stats from
I'll get
the
into
last
these. That's
scrimmage. 5 of 10 passing with 4 touchdowns. Some of the notes I have on Klubnik.
And 400 yards.
He's a very good athlete. He doesn't have elite arm strength, but he puts the ball in the right spot. He's very accurate. Last year he was 5th in the FBS in big-time throws with 28. And so a big-time throw from PFF means excellent location and timing, and it's either got to be further downfield or into a tight window. And so he had 28 of those big-time throws. And when talking about Nussmeier, obviously you hear about him a whole lot. And the concern is decision-making. And then on top of that, my things that I'm looking forward to this season for Nuss.
But this is
are,
Cade
like this is
Klubnik.
this is top tier. This is very, very good. This is why he's an elite quarterback.
That's an
That is
incredible throw.
And out like the layering of the football,
Mm-hmm.
the location and the timing.
You gotta
All
get him.
excellent.
And that's why he's good because you want to be able to like get him off platform, off schedule, but he can also move.
Right. But when he's on schedule, it's going to be consistently good.
Like that's elite.
Like that's a good throw. Like that is
elite playmaking.
elite playmaking. Like this guy that like I'm very, very confident in Garrett Nussmeier. If there's anyone else I would say is the best quarterback in the country going into the season, it's this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this matchup on August 30th is between the 2 best quarterbacks in the country. Because on top of being crisp and being talented at the quarterback position, they are playmakers.
I mean, that's
like,
the opposite hash throw. Like you say arm strength all you want. That is not.
No, this
easy.
is not an easy throw. Like this is what Zach Mettenberger was doing that we thought we were seeing God.
Yep.
Like he's going opposite hash to Jarvis Landry on an out. What? You know?
Throws that you've never seen made.
But like that's location, timing, and touch. All excellent. That's a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's good, man. He's good. And he can move. You saw it in those clips. And that's kind of the concern, is that he's going to keep plays alive, so this LSU defense has to be crisp.
And that was against Texas.
And so my concerns when talking about Nussmeier, the number one thing is decision making, obviously. Like that is just the stress on Nussmeier is, will he allow 0 to be the worst thing that happens, like him and Kelly talked about?
This is the concern.
Because like
Where's Tamarcus?
have you seen LSU stop this
Nope.
in the past 3 years? What is it? I mean, it's an option. It's a read option. Have you
That's
seen
a
that be
straight
stopped?
quarterback run?
Well, yeah, but like
Yeah, eye candy.
the eye candy of the handoff. Have you seen LSU stop that?
Nope.
Have you seen Jalen Milroe dice? And now, is Klubnik Milroe?
No.
No. But he's also not halfway running that. He's toting the rock.
He's not Nuss.
And so that's what I'm talking about, the decision making. Like, that's the level of Klubnik where the worst thing that happens is 0. He only threw 6 interceptions. The worst thing that happens more often than not is 0 or maybe a sack. Because I did see he did get sacked a good bit last season. They didn't like that he took some of those. And with Nussmeier, it's like he's got to be able to do that. I don't need designed quarterback runs with Nussmeier, but like show the willingness to allow yourself to get 3, 4, 5 yards and get out of bounds and slide and keep the play alive rather than force into a tight window. So finding that balance. But the things I'm excited about for Nussmeier going into the season is the comfortability in the second year of this offense, comfortability of being a starter for the second season. His accuracy, I feel like, has improved, and it was good last year. And I feel like it's improved watching him at camp. And I'm excited to see the game slow down for him. Because he's got the brain, because he's a coach's son. Like, he has the ability to diagnose and see and pick apart different things as a football player. But he got sped up a whole lot last season, where his feet, like, remember, Lloyd, we talked about this the other day, feet got jumpy. Mm-hmm. Like, you could see back there, like, his feet were like, it was like a little kid on the field for the first time, like, jumpy. When you looked at him at practice the other day, like, he is slowly going through progressions, and the bounce that he's doing is more on rhythm than not. And I know this, I'm not trying to say like I'm a quarterback guru, but one of the things I've noticed is when a quarterback is bouncing and it's not in rhythm, that means they're sped up or they're off.
Another
But
thing,
when they're bouncing in rhythm, that means they're doing something routine because it's comfortable.
Another thing we've noticed at practice is also his willingness to get outside the pocket, I feel like. I feel like last year he would kind of try to leave the pocket late. I feel like we haven't seen too many sacks taken where Nussmeier's kind of trying to he's getting bouncy and he's just sitting back there. He's really been able to bounce it outside, and he knows when to take off almost outside the pocket. Now, does he go across the line of scrimmage? He kind of looks down the field still, and that's probably a good thing, his ability to emphasize. Is that the word?
I don't know what you're trying to say. His ability to what?
To
just say the whole sentence with the word emphasize, and I'll plug in the word you should have used.
No, don't worry about it. But his ability to what's the
Extend?
word? Extend. That's
There,
it.
okay.
His ability to extend by getting out the pocket, rolling right, left, even on that knee. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Well, and what you saw last year was, we were talking about a little bit in the chat, like him throwing off platform is fine. Him throwing off his back foot, no blame.
That's not off platform to me.
That's where he got in trouble last year. Was he would drift back instead of trying to escape left or right. It was, I'm trying to buy time by going the wrong way.
Yes.
And it's like, because I trust this. And so I can make any throw off any, like, back foot, left foot, doesn't matter to me. Like, I can still fit it in that window. But whenever he started falling and drifting back and it became like that, talk about like the a little bit of antsiness in the pocket.
Right.
That needs to be developed into stepping up, sliding. Like, Joe Burrow is the best in the game at it.
And that's the hope with Nussmeier this year, is that it slows down and he's able to manipulate the pocket, move left, shift right, step up, do all the things right, because that's what makes an offensive line better than they are.
There it is, improvise.
That's the word you're thinking of.
See, I was kind of close.
But like this, you talk about
that's the development right there.
Like Nussmeier in year 2. This is Cade Klubnik in year what?
That's year 1 to year 2.
Yep.
Or starting year 1 and starting year 2.
Sophomore to junior.
Yep. 25, 80, 19 to 8 ratio to
fine quarterback,
bump it up 1,100 yards, 17 tuds, and drop the INTs down.
I mean, he scored 20 more touchdowns.
Like, this is what happens
when you get to play.
When the game slows down and you have that experience under your belt. And that's the hope, is Nussmeier will have that same kind of leap. But the other thing is, like, this is also Klubnik's going to be starting his third season. Like, that plays a factor. And so it's really interesting looking at these two quarterbacks, because they do have similarities, because they both elite ball placement, elite, like, touch on the football, like layering and anticipation. They both are elite. You saw Klubnik on that video, and you've seen Nussmeier all last season, where anticipation was elite. The layering of throws was elite. But the biggest difference between the two to me is Klubnik is much more willing to stray away from his right arm than Garrett Nussmeier is. And because of that, Nussmeier doubled him in interceptions and has almost 500 less rushing yards than Klubnik.
But with that, there's a metric that I have just stumbled across from CFB numbers. Big play versus bad play rates heading into 2025.
Yep.
And so when you look at this, like, look at where Garrett Nussmeier is, all the way up here. So he'll make a big play.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is Cade Klubnik protecting the football.
Right.
So it's a give and a take between the two.
Well, and it's like the balance between 2022 Daniels to 2023 Daniels. Of like 2022 Daniels would have been very much in that lower tier of playing it safe. 2023 Jaden Daniels didn't play it as safe and trusted himself a little bit more. And so, like, it's funny the dynamic between Daniels at LSU from year 1 to year 2 and kind of where Nussmeier is from year 1 to year 2. Where with Daniels, you wanted him to unlock a little bit more and not be as tight and safe with the football. Nussmeier, you want him to dial it back a touch. And so it's an interesting dynamic. So one thing I know from watching them when I was kind of going through it last night and reading a lot about Klubnik and Nussmeier is I'm very excited to see these two quarterbacks get on the field and face off on August 30th. Like, extremely talented, and they both are going to be leading two very, very high-octane offenses, and I'm excited to see them go at it. But one thing that I know, and look, we're going to get into the position groups a little bit further, obviously as the weeks go on. But I'm gonna be interested to see how Harold Perkins is used with Cade Klubnik and his ability and willingness to run. Like, how much Perk spy do we see? Like, obviously, I don't think that's going to be the game plan to a sense, but like when you think back to Bryce Young in 2022. Was Bryce Young was he Jalen Milroe? Like, he wasn't tucking it and running with it for, like, that's not the reason you were spying. You weren't spying him because of his ability to run and break off and gash long runs.
It was his improv.
It was the improv. And so to me, there's a similar kind of predicament with Klubnik of, okay, do we stick Perk to QB spying him? Not always every play. But like some of those big, high leverage downs, do you make Perk spy him to make sure that that improvisation is not there? It's not allowed.
And there's a world where you see Witt doing the same thing because Perk is not the only one that you can rely on.
No, of course not. You've also got Tylen Singleton. You've got C.J. Gymkhana. You've got Jordan Gilbert. You've got guys that you can use in that realm. I'm going to be interested to see how they do that. Like, how much emphasis they put on Cade Klubnik's ability to improvise.
It'll be interesting to see how much Clemson relies on his ability to run because they don't have a running back room. Like, they have a bunch of guys that are.
Hey, but that guy, he broke off a 50-yard run in that scrimmage. Dabo
did
said.
he?
Yeah, that's what Dabo.
Defense
that's what Dabo
must be
said.
ass.
That's what Dabo said. But yeah, he's a wide receiver turn running back.
And they have a 4-star freshman, Gideon Davidson, that obviously Clemson's very high on, one of the best running backs in their class, they say. But the intrigue, Adam Randall from wide receiver to running back. And with that, if you don't have a proven running back, which it feels like LSU very much does.
Yes, oh my gosh.
And not only one, but you can also, like, the talent in the room is, I think it's easier to speak on than speaking to Clemson's ability to recruit and what LSU has in the running back room versus Clemson. I'll take LSU's running back room all day.
Right.
And so if you have two guys that are unproven, you have one guy that is, and that's your quarterback. So I think there will be, you'll probably see how many attempts do you think you'll get from Cade Klubnik designed runs?
Design runs against LSU, I definitely think first drive they're going to try it.
I think you'll get over under 10 carries. Like, designed.
Over.
I think you'll get between 15, like 12 to 15.
First 15 script, first 5 script, there will be a design Klubnik run to see, hey, we've seen more often than not LSU
can't
get
stop this.
gashed by this. And they've got playmakers. If you're going to drop back Klubnik, they heard the reports too. They know the talent LSU has on that defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
How do you take a defensive line out of the game is you have a quarterback that manipulates the offensive line, but also gets away from them.
Let them rush upfield and goes right by them.
Yes, goes right by them. Like, that's why you have to, like, that's why Bernard Gooden to me, and did you draft him on your team?
Bernard, no, it was, no, did I?
Maybe, I don't know.
Remember.
But like
yes,
Bernard Gooden to
me
me and those guys in the middle, I picked Don McKinley. Like, they're going to have such a huge role because you have to get pressure up the middle. What you can't have is what Hendon Hooker was really good at in 22, and you saw it when they beat LSU. When the pocket does this and there's a gap in the middle, he goes right through the interior, and so now you're kind of in a position of like you're getting gashed up the middle of your defense rather than forcing him to go around to the outside where you might have a linebacker that can take an angle. It's hard to get an angle when he's running right up the gut in an open field.
You have to maintain your rush lanes and rush integrity.
And you have to get some pressure up the middle of it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how much they go to that. And I think play first drive, the first 3 downs of the game, they're going to go to a Klubnik designed run to try and gash LSU. Because then if that happens, they're going to go back to it again.
Oh, and again, that could be their offense.
And again,
that's third and short.
It's Alabama and LSU.
Mm-hmm.
They saw that you couldn't stop Miller once. What did Saban 2 years ago and DeBoer last year? What did they do? They went back to it again, and again, and again. Because I'm going to run it. LSU did it in 2021 to Florida. Until you show me you can stop counter, I'm going to run counter and give it to TDP every time. What's the saying? If it ain't broke, what?
Don't fix it.
So, they're going to try to gash you with Cade Klubnik. And if it works, you're going to see it again.
Alabama ran it 48 times against LSU.
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Jalen
Miller only carried it 12 times.
And he had, 3 touchdowns?
185 yards and 4 touchdowns with a long of 72. But outside of that, LSU did a moderately good job of, they don't have a problem stopping the run. It's stopping the running quarterback.
Right. They had, 2023, they couldn't stop anything. Last year, they played relatively good run defense. And I think that's one of the things I've been impressed with the most from fall camp is how good they are against the run.
Because Brian Kelly talked about it, Friday? If he can hang his hat on anything, it is his ability to develop, recruit, and put people in the league from the offensive line and tight end.
Yeah, play the clip.
And that's where he was he can brag about that. That's my.
I'm not even gonna push back.
No, that's my first dick on the table. It's
right.
Look, you can't say anything about it because it's
proven
true.
Track record.
Yes.
If you're gonna trust anybody's opinion on what a good offensive line is, you can feel however you want about Brian Kelly. My co-host across from me is there with you majority of the time. He's got a proven track record at the offensive line position. That was the first thing when you hired Brian Kelly. You were like, you know what? We've kind of gone stale from an O-line standpoint at LSU. And they just put 4 in the league last year. 4 O-linemen from your line got drafted. And you go back before that, Anthony Bradford got drafted from that line in 2022. They put him in the league. And so if you're going to take anyone's word on what a good offensive line looks like, you might think BK is blowing smoke. But more often than not, he's been able to put talented offensive linemen into the league, and he knows what it looks like.
Yeah, I've coached, for a long time. I've got a lot of guys in the NFL, a lot of first-round draft picks. I think I got a pretty good eye for what an offensive line looks like. This group is going to be really good. We don't have a Will Campbell, right? He's the 5th pick in the draft. But we have 5 guys that play well together. And it starts with the center. Our center position in Braylon Moore kind of sets up the rest of the group for success. His combination work is outstanding. His recognition of fronts, getting us to be an elite offensive line. If you have a center that can kind of set the stage for that, it allows everything else to kind of fall into place, and it's starting to fall into place quite nicely.
But yeah, look, and honestly, I kind of like that answer.
Hell yeah!
And that was like a real BK of do you know who I am? And that's not like that fake confidence we've talked about in some answers where it's it feels like he's being meticulous about what he's saying. That was real of I know what I'm looking at. I know
my resume speaks for itself.
I'm not, and he's not even dissing them. He's not saying you don't know what you're looking at. What he's saying is I do, and you can see how I know.
Because it does. It should calm. Because what's the biggest question mark? What's the biggest concern going into Clemson has been, what's the offensive line going to look like? What's the play going to be? You lost your bookend tackles.
Right.
I think his the most telling answer to that was talking about center and Braylon Moore, because you saw the struggles last year.
Yes.
And that's no slight to DJ Chester. He was an unenviable task of being a freshman in the SEC and starting at center for the first time. I don't expect that to go great.
No.
But to bring in a veteran like Braylon Moore, who has played against Clemson already,
right,
multiple times,
yes,
and then to have that, he's like, it all kind of it stems from that, right? You build it from the middle out, and now you have somebody in the middle that you can absolutely rely on, and that's why the addition of Braylon Moore to me is kind of changes what you're looking at. If you had Braylon Moore last year, the offense looks different.
Oh, 1,000%. Like, and that's one of the things that I've taken away from fall camp that I've loved. One of my biggest raves about LSU fall camp that I've seen up to this point. Braylon Moore playing center, identifying the mic, and getting everyone organized. And, like, when you don't have that, and it's not coming from your center, which is basically your second quarterback on the field, because last year it was trying to come from it's on Nussmeier's shoulders on top of everything else. Will Campbell's trying to get everything organized from the left side, which will allow him where he starts to false start. And then the pressure and the assignment goes on Chester, and he has a snap infraction and all. It was just a very tough dynamic. What do you fix that problem with? How do you solve that issue? Is you go out and you get an experienced veteran center that can handle all those tasks and carry that weight. Like, you're no longer putting that weight on DJ Chester and Campbell and Nussmeier. You brought in one player that takes all of that off their plate. And so far, what I've seen through camp, he's done an excellent job at doing those tasks. And you cannot have a good offensive line. You saw it last year. This is not a diss to DJ Chester. You can talk about left tackle and how important it is for your quarterback's blind side, because it's important. You can have as much talent on that line as you want. You had 4 NFL guys last year. And it was still kind of a iffy season from an offensive line standpoint, from a penalty perception and playmaking as well. And how do you solve that? It's because the center is the center of it all. And LSU went out, brought an experienced veteran in that I think is going to allow some of those issues to be fixed and saw those problems solved. And I love that, like Lloyd said, that part of the answer, talking about Braylon Moore, is awesome, because when that's in line and when that's the first thing they announced Braylon Moore as the starting center before they announced anybody else on the line. That's a win. When you know who your guy is, and not only that, you went out and you said, hey, that guy, we need him here. Brought him in to do those things. And it's obviously working out if they're that willing to already dub him the guy. And so.
And it does feel like they said in the chat, like it feels like for the first time, they're talking about defensively, LSU kind of does have the horses to be able to stop a Cade Klubnik quarterback run. But
yes.
I bring that up because of the LSU athletes that have been brought in. And correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like now more than ever, Brian Kelly is more bought in than ever. Like it feels like, because Seville asked in the chat, he goes, question, will success for Brian Kelly winning championships ruin him like Ed Orgeron or drive him to do better? I think he has one thing left to check off of his list. I don't know what that looks like if he wins the national championship and what it looks like after, but I know if he is still, and that's why I mentioned the buy-in,
right? It
feels like he's more bought in than ever because he has the horses. He knows that this is a team that is capable of winning a national championship, and if he wasn't bought in now, then what's the point of doing the job?
Well, because on top of that, we've talked
he
about
knows
this.
He needs one to be able to say, I'm a legitimate head coach.
And
like,
if
I was one of the best to ever do it.
Happen this season,
what am I looking at now?
What's next?
Yeah. And that's the pressure he's put,
right.
That's the pressure that's on him that's real.
That's what happens when
he
you
doesn't have any excuses.
When you bring in plug-and-play guys from the portal that are only going to be here 1 year. Like, Ole Miss's defense is going to take a step back because they went out and they paid for 1 year to go all in Jackson Dart, and it didn't work. LSU's in a very similar position, and it's funny the comparison between the two because of Austin Thomas. But like LSU's in that position where you went out and you went all in on these positions because you have Garrett Nussmeier coming back at quarterback.
Well, and you saw it on any given Saturday. Like the conversation was, the entire linchpin was Garrett Nussmeier.
Yes,
like
everything. He's everything.
Right. And
everything.
So once you got that domino to fall, it's like, all right, we have him. let's go. Where's Barry and Brown?
Where's Patrick Payton? Where's Bernard Gooden? Where's AJ Halsey? Where's Mansour Delane? Make sure we check all these other boxes because with him, we have a chance to win it all. But you got to have the pieces around him.
And I think, because I would be very, obviously, hypothetical. If you don't get Nussmeier back, I wonder what they do in the portal. Like, I wonder if they make all of those moves, those one-year moves.
Right.
You can't win a national championship without a quarterback. And so I don't know if they even go as far as they did. And then you can have that's why I think that conversation around Bryce Underwood's like, oh, they saved all of this money, so they got to spend. Like, I don't know if they spend it that way. Like, they're going to still be competitive, but I think they would have waited another year.
Yeah, I mean, things have to go right for these dynamics.
But once you had Nuss, like, we're all in.
Yes, it was like we got to make it work, and they've got the horses, man, and that adds to the pressure. But the pressure is necessary this season. Got to make it happen.
BB, I agree. If Kelly does win one, I think retirement is closer than farther away.
I agree. Like, if he wins one this season, he does not make it through to that 10th year of this deal.
No way.
And I wouldn't fault him.
No, I mean, that's why he's here.
That's why he's here.
To check that box.
He's using us like we're using him.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because, like, my biggest
as long
thing,
as
and
we're
I've
all
always
aligned
said
in what we're trying to do here.
And that's the alignment. That's the word they've always used. And this has been my thing with Kelly from the jump, is you went out and you got him here because you needed a program rebuilt. It was in shambles. Like, I know people say, well, on that roster, I mean, you still had a lot of O guys in 22 that made that team good. Yes, you were able to hold on to some key players like Jacqueline Roy and Jay Ward and B.J. Ojolari and, like, key play Micah Baskerville on that defense that made plays.
Bringing in Mekhi Wingo.
From a program standpoint, LSU was in the dump when O left. Like, you were the laughing stock. You won a national championship 2 years ago, and now you're just –
You have
a wide receiver playing quarterback. Shout out to John Troy Kirkland.
We fight like tigers.
We fight like tigers, man. We fighting tigers, man.
What y'all talking about?
We got 11 weeks going to play. And B.J. Ojolari's like, yeah. But like, you had to do that because of what your roster, where it was. And now he's been able to build the program back up. Was he maybe a little wrong in thinking he could do it his way? Yeah. Adjusted. Had to adjust. Did adjust. And we'll go from there, man. I'm excited to see what it looks like August 30th. Like, I got more excited for August 30th watching the film on these two quarterbacks and going through the stats and reading the scouting reports because, man, it's going to be a big-time football game on August 30th, man. Like, these two quarterbacks, I'm telling y'all, are as good as it gets. There have not been many times you've seen a matchup between two quarterbacks this level of talent. This early in the – like, not being a playoff game.
The funniest thing is, like, watching those, like, Cade Klubnik highlights, like, it's
Texas.
Boys, chat, ting pins, crowd. It's going to happen to you too.
Yes.
There's going to be a third Nate where he gets 15.
It's
not going to, just get ready for it. This is going to be a Hollywood production.
This is like,
there's no reason for this game not to come down to the absolute
top
wire.
Tier quarterback play to the
He's gonna make plays where, like,
give me another regular season quarterback matchup that, like,
I don't know if you
live in infamy. Like, Burrow and Tua was kind of going to, like, was that, I guess you could say, like, Tua was still a little, like, well, he's a little injured, he's a little shook up at that point, but, like, Burrow and Tua was, like, Tua was the number one overall pick going into that season. Burrow's the breakout star, like.
If you had.
But this is the first game of the year,
crazy.
Man. Like, there's no buildup,
I guess,
of the season before this.
I guess Burrow and Ellinger, because Ellinger was.
But yeah, I mean, but it was still like Burrow was still like a improvement. Yeah. Like these two are like, they're fighting for the number one overall pick on Saturday night. Chris Williams dogfight August 30th, 60 minutes.
Lost like, the fucking game.
I'm telling you, when I sat and I watched these two quarterbacks film and read the stats and read it, I was more excited than I have been because, like, that's like just the football fan in me coming out of, like, these two guys are really good at football.
Oh, like
you're watching professional quarterbacks go at it.
I think it's also funny how So if you don't know, Dabo's quote around the offseason has been "Go do it." Brian Kelly's 1-0, so it's like they know.
Yeah,
Bar
no,
the
I mean
gates.
it's
Well, if you're Clemson, you'll be fine to drop one. You're in the ACC.
yeah. I mean, just let us have it.
Yeah.
Nah, I want to take it.
Give it
Screw
to
that.
me.
I want to take it. Don't just hand it over. I want to go into that stadium and watch them run down that hill and slap that rock and look at their doofus head coach sprinting down onto the field,
Hope he
and I want
falls.
to go and take it from them.